The cuffs bit into my wrists, steel digging into skin with each step toward the squad car. Detective Harris's hand was a clamp on my shoulder, steering me forward like I was already a conviction on paper. The air smelled like cut grass and hot asphalt. Streetlights painted everything in that sickly orange glow. That makes even safe places feel dangerous. It was supposed to be a quiet night on Willowbrook Lane, the kind where you hear sprinklers clicking in backyards and nothing else. Instead, the hum of the cruiser's engine filled the block. Neighbors lingered in shadows, half hidden behind hedges and screen doors, pretending not to watch, but they were. People always watch when someone gets taken away. Across the street, Martin Cole leaned against his black SUV, polished like a mirror even under dim light. He crossed his arms and tilted his head, slow and smug, as if this was all just another one of his trophies. No words, just that look. And that was worse. At the far end of the block, Emily stood frozen under the streetlight. Her hand was over her mouth, her eyes wide. She knew. She knew I hadn't done it. Didn't matter, not now, because I wasn't walking into a wrongful arrest. I was walking into my plan. It was a Friday afternoon, the kind where the air in the shop hung heavy with the smell of burnt oil and rubber. My hands were black to the wrists, sweat mixing with grease, the kind of day I actually liked. Predictable. That's when the bell over the shop door chimed and Martin Cole walked in. He didn't belong in a place like this. Tailored jacket, sunglasses still on inside, the kind of haircut that cost more than most people's car insurance. His shoes probably never saw dirt. "Jack," he said like we'd been catching up every Sunday for years. "Need a little favor?" People in this town call Martin a collector, not of coins or art. He collects people, debts, secrets, favors. He files them away like baseball cards, flipping through when it's time to cash one in. I'd never been in his deck before. I liked it that way. He set a thick envelope on my counter. It landed with a heavy thump. "I've got a shipment coming in," he said. "You'll install the part in my SUV. No questions." I didn't touch it. "Find another shop." He smiled, the kind of smile that lets you know the punchline's on you. "I already told people you'd do it, and the part isn't exactly legal to import." The envelope just sat there, thick and wrong. "Not my problem," I said, sliding it back toward him. He caught it without looking down. "Your choice," he said, and walked out. 3 days later, a detective showed up at my shop, said my name came up in connection to a string of stolen catalytic converters. They weren't here to arrest me, yet, just checking in. But I'd been in this business long enough to know how that worked. First, they link your name, then your shop. Then your livelihood is toast before you even step into court. Martin knew that too. The night after the detective visit, there was a knock at my apartment door. It was Emily. Emily used to be Martin's girlfriend. I'd seen her a handful of times, usually in the passenger seat of that SUV, staring out the window like she was watching her life pass by. She looked different now, paler eyes darting over her shoulder. "I have something," she whispered. She handed me a flash drive. No explanation, just, watch it. Alone. On it, grainy footage of Martin unloading crates in his garage. The same crates the cops were asking about. "This makes me the key witness," she said, her voice shaking, "and that makes me dead if he finds out." 2 days later, Emily disappeared. Her car was found by the river, doors unlocked, no signs of struggle. The police report said possible foul play, but there was no body, no witnesses, no case. Martin was back leaning on his SUV the next evening, flashing that same smug half-smile when I drove past. But here's the thing, Emily wasn't gone. I found her in an abandoned farmhouse 20 miles out, hiding in a back bedroom with the curtains nailed shut. She was jumpy, her hands trembling when I handed her a sandwich and water. "He thinks I'm dead," she said. "Let's keep it that way." We talked for hours. She mapped out everything, the shipments, the bribes, the way Martin used people until they broke. And then she told me one thing that made my skin crawl. He killed a man in Ohio, told me himself, bragged about it. I didn't go charging in. Not my style. Instead, I kept my head down, fixed cars, even fixed Martin's SUV when he brought it in. I smiled, handed him the keys, let him think he still had me boxed in. Meanwhile, I visited a friend on the force, fed him crumbs, enough to get him curious, but not enough to use in court. Not yet. Doing the right thing in this town comes at a cost, and I wasn't paying until I knew the total. Last Friday, I came in early. My bay door was already open. That never happened. My tools were moved, my workbench drawer unlocked. Under the rag, where I keep my socket wrench, a gun. Serial number filed off. I didn't need to guess whose fingerprints were on it. Martin's style was always the same. Make it look like you tripped into trouble all by yourself. That night, I called Emily. "It's time." Over the next 48 hours, we staged it. Emily would walk into the precinct Monday morning and hand over the flash drive. She'd tell them she'd been hiding. She'd tell them everything, except who helped her. I'd call Detective Harris and tell him Martin had left something illegal for me at the shop. By the end of the day, they'd have the gun and evidence. and ballistics would tie it to an unsolved murder in Ohio. That night, Martin couldn't resist showing up. He leaned against his SUV, watching as Harris slapped the cuffs on me. I could feel his satisfaction from across the street. But what Martin didn't know, what no one knew, was that the whole scene was wired for sound. Emily was parked a block away with a recorder, catching every word. When Martin leaned in and whispered, "I told you I'd own you, Jack," the detectives in the van down the street got it all, along with the part where he bragged about framing me. The cuffs came off before we even reached the squad car. Harris didn't say a word to me, just walked past and went straight for Martin. I watched him get shoved against his own SUV, watched the smug vanished from his face. It was the ending I'd been picturing for weeks, but not the real ending. 2 hours later, I drove out to the farmhouse. Emily was waiting on the porch, duffel bag at her feet. "You're free," she said. "Yeah," I said, "so are you." What she didn't know, what no one would know, was that the Ohio case wasn't built on the gun Martin planted on me. It was built on the gun I'd planted on him. I'd pulled it from his garage weeks earlier, wrapped it in the same rag he'd used to hide mine. That's why I stayed calm when Harris found it in my shop, because it was never mine to begin with. Sometimes doing the right thing means getting your hands dirty. I just made sure mine stayed clean where it counted.